we are back. Welcome to the final part of Matchday 1's preview and predictions for the Champions League after yet another unbelievable night of Champions League action yesterday evening. There were late comebacks, there were last-minute winners, there were red cards, there were fights between the managers and the crowd, and that was just the Liverpool Atletico Madrid game, let alone all the chaos that happened in all of the other 5 matches we had last night. Another unbelievable night of Champions League action, and we've got 6 more games coming for you today. As always, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video if you enjoy all of my previews and predictions. Subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the videos we've got coming up for you over the next few weeks. Speaking of that, you've still got 24 hours left to get your community predictions in for tomorrow's 2 videos, which will be Premier League and La Liga Game Week 5. And then next week, of course, we've got the launch of the Europa League preview and prediction series for a brand new year as well. A whole host of things going on. And if you somehow still want even more content from me, please do consider hitting the join button at the bottom of your screen right now to become a member of the channel, giving you access to my thoughts on the Serie A, Ligue 1 and Bundesliga for this season. As for today then, we have just got 6 remaining matches to round off match day 1. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it. 2 early kickoffs, 4 late kickoffs for you once again. And the first of the early kickoffs sees the team that finished runners-up in Belgium last season taking on the side that finished 3rd in the French League last season. And after what we saw on Tuesday night, there's going to be a lot of people backing Club Brugge to carry on what Union Saint-Gilloise did against PSV the other day. Coming into this, Brugge had to get through the qualification stages to get into the Champions League. They did that by beating Salzburg 4-2 and then utterly embarrassing Rangers 9-1 in the final round of the playoffs. Always good to see the Scottish club suffering as an England fan. As for Monaco, they didn't have to qualify. They got here by finishing 3rd in Ligue 1. And so far at the start of their domestic season, they have won 3 out of 4 matches so far. So a pretty decent start to the season for them. Domestically for Club Brugge, they have had a draw and a defeat. The rest are wins. They are 5th at the moment. In terms of the team news, there are a few injury concerns coming into this, especially on Monaco's side. But we'll start with Brugge. They have got their young, talented forward, Vermont, out. He picked up an injury a couple of weeks ago and he is going to miss this one. For Monaco, one of their star men from last season, Golovin, is still unavailable for them, as well as their new goalkeeper, Lukas Hradecky. He is out for at least 2 or 3 more months. It's also considered to be a little bit too soon for Paul Pogba's dramatic return to Champions League football. He is not fully fit after the amount of time he has spent away from the game. These 2 sides last met all the way back in 2018. However, back then it was a 5-1 aggregate victory for Club Brugge in the Champions League over their 2 games. Obviously, though, that is far too long ago to be considered as a guide as to where this one is going to go. To be honest, I think this is a really, really tough one to call. I think both results are easily possible. Both results, all 3 results, should I say, are perfectly available in this game. I do think both teams are going to score in it. To be honest, I can't split these 2 right now. So I'm going to open today's video with a 1-1 draw for Brugge and Monaco. Other early kickoff sees FC Copenhagen, the champions of Denmark, taking on Bayer Leverkusen, who finished runners-up in the German Bundesliga last season. Rather unfairly, it meant that even though they are the actual winners of their division, Copenhagen had to go through a fair few rounds of qualifying, beating Drita, Malmo and then Basel to get into the Champions League, whereas Leverkusen just finishing 2nd in the Bundesliga is enough to see them straight into the Champions League. On top of their successes so far in the qualifying rounds, Copenhagen have had a very good start to their domestic season. 16 points from their opening 8 matches. However, they did lose at the weekend, which means they have dropped back to 2nd place in the Danish league so far. For Bayer Leverkusen, not the best of starts for them, losing and drawing in their first 2 matches. That was enough to see Erik ten Hag lose his job after literally just 2 matches in charge. But Kasper Hulmand is now at the helm. He led them to a rather impressive victory over Eintracht Frankfurt, another Champions League team. this weekend, so they're going to be coming into this full of confidence. In terms of injuries and suspensions, the only real one that I can see from a Leverkusen perspective is Palacios. He went off injured in their victory over Frankfurt at the weekend. No major concerns for Copenhagen at all, as far as I could tell. It's been over 10 years since these two sides last met each other. So again, no prior head-to-head record to go on here. We're just looking at the form and the abilities of the two sides in this match. Again, I do think all three results are possible. Copenhagen are a very strong side on their day. But player for player, I've got to go for Bayer Leverkusen in this match. So I'm going for a 2-1 victory to the German outfit. Next up is the side that Leverkusen beat at the weekend, if you did not hear me say that literally just 2 minutes ago. And they are going to be hosting Galatasaray, the Turkish League champions, in this game. As we just said, it is defeat for Frankfurt at the weekend, but that was off the back of 2 consecutive Bundesliga wins to kick off their season. So they've not had a particularly bad start. For Galatasaray, it's been absolutely unbelievable for them so far in the Turkish League. Almost complete, utter perfection. 5 games, 5 wins, only 1 goal conceded in those matches so far. With the greatest respect to the Turkish League sides, you wouldn't say they're as good as a side like Eintracht Frankfurt, but I do think it does mean that Galatasaray should be considered the favourites coming into this match, in my opinion. In terms of the team news for Frankfurt, they're going to be without a couple of their usual players. Rasmus Christensen is out injured, along with World Cup winning hero Mario Götze. For Galatasaray, there is question marks over the fitness of Victor Osimhen, their big money signing from Napoli this summer. But even if he's unavailable, they've still got the likes of Mauro Icardi and Leroy Sané and Ilkay Gundogan and a few other real talented players in their starting lineup coming into this match. And like I said, I honestly think coming into this, Galatasaray are the better team on paper. So with that being said, I am going to go for a Galatasaray win here. I'm going to expect goals. I think both teams, again, are going to be scoring in this match. But I'm going for a 3-2 victory to Galatasaray. Now for the game I'm actually most intrigued about. Arguably not the biggest match of the night. We'll be getting onto that one shortly. But it is Manchester City taking on Napoli. City, of course, off the back of their really poor season last year. Napoli off the back of winning their second Serie A title in 3 years, making their way back to the top of the European game in the Champions League, shall we say. The big news around this game, though, is, of course, all of the former Premier League players and, of course, Premier League manager in Antonio Conte coming back to England for this match. The star name, of course, has to be Kevin De Bruyne, his first Champions League game away from Manchester City. And wouldn't you believe it, it's at the Etihad of all places. Not to mention, of course, Serie A Player of the Season and Ballon d'Or nominee Scott McTominay making his way back to Manchester for this one, as well as Rasmus Højlund as well. In terms of the team news from a Manchester City perspective, there are still a few absentees from the Manchester derby at the weekend. All of John Stones, Ait Nouri, Cherki and Marmoush are expected to miss. For Napoli, it is only Romelu Lukaku that is expected to be out. That is obviously why they signed Rasmus Højlund in the first place. In terms of their form coming into this, Manchester City, 2 wins and 2 defeats in their opening 4 matches in the Premier League. So not the best start of the season for them. For Napoli, as you'd expect, they've carried on right where they left off. 3 wins out of 3 in the Serie A. I think this is going to be a really, really close game. I think it's going to be thoroughly entertaining. The question is, will Manchester City's new goalkeeper, Gianluigi Donnarumma, do the business like he did in the Manchester derby and keep Napoli's superstars out? We shall see. I have got City as slight favourites for this one. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to the English side. And speaking of English sides, we have got Newcastle, who are going to be hosting none other than European supergiants FC Barcelona at St James's Park tonight. And what an unbelievable atmosphere it is going to be up north this evening. And to be honest, again, I do think Newcastle should be given a chance in this game. The problem is they haven't actually made a very good start to this season. They have lost one of their matches to Liverpool, albeit that was probably their best performance of the season. They've had 2 0-0 draws, and it was only a 1-0 victory over Wolves at home this weekend. On the flip side, Barcelona have been near perfect this season. A 1-1 draw away at Vallecano, but other than that, 3 wins out of 4 in the La Liga so far, and a 6-0 win over Valencia at the weekend. They are scoring goals for fun this season. They are very, very much on form. It's going to be a real tough test for Newcastle. From a Newcastle perspective, their only real player missing from this match is Jacob Ramsey. Johan Visser could play some part, but he's not expected to start the match. For Barcelona, there is no Yamin Yamal, there is no Balde, and there is no Gavi. Although, to be fair, they didn't have any of them for their 6-0 win at Valencia at the weekend, but they do have Frenkie de Jong back and available for this match. One thing that is worth noting, though, is that Hansi Flick is suspended for this match. The Barcelona manager was sent off during their exit from the Champions League last season. To be honest, like I said, I do think Newcastle have a genuine chance in this match. I just think, given how poorly they have performed in the Premier League so far this season, I think it would be quite foolish to go for anything other than a Barcelona win. The only thing the Newcastle fans can really hang their hat on is that performance they put in against Liverpool with 10 men, albeit it did still result in a defeat. I'm going for a 3-1 victory to Barcelona, but again, I expect it to be a thoroughly entertaining game. And then last, but certainly not least, we have Sporting Lisbon taking on the Kazakhstani champions, Kairat Almaty. Now, if I butchered the name of that, please let me know down in the comments how I'm supposed to say it correctly. I've tried my best. I looked it up, and that's what I was sort of told. Kairat Almaty is how you're supposed to say it. If I'm completely wrong, I do apologise. But what a story it has already been for this Kazakhstani team just to even get here. Despite being Kazakhstan champions, they had to go through every single round of European qualifying to get to this league phase. And on their route to victory, it has been Olimpia Ljubljana, followed by a 2-0 comeback to a 3-2 win against Kuips. Then they beat Slovan Bratislava on penalties, and then finally they beat Celtic on penalties after a 0-0 draw following both legs of that tie. Absolutely incredible. No one thought they could do it. If you've seen the scenes from the end of that penalty shootout, you'll see how much it means for them just to even be here. But to be honest, after what they saw from Azerbaijani side, Karabag, going to Lisbon on Tuesday night and getting a win at Benfica, they'll be looking at that thinking, well, if they can do it, why can't we? Well, one reason would probably be that Sporting have made a very, very strong start to the Portuguese League season. They've won 4 out of 5. The only game they haven't won was a defeat to Porto, who have won all 5 of their matches in the Portuguese League so far. They currently sit in second place in the Portuguese League. And the other big problem for Kairat coming into this is that their goalkeeper could be missing for this match. He went off with an injury during their win at the weekend. For Sporting Lisbon, the only major concern for them is players that have already been out for basically the entirety of the season so far. Sporting are coming into this with a fully fresh side, ready to go. I think it's going to be a real test for the Kazakhstani side here in Lisbon. Do I think it's possible? Absolutely. The Champions League is full of surprises, like we've already said. Karabag won at Benfica on Tuesday night. Paphos last night with 10 men for nearly the entire game managed to get a 0-0 draw against Olympiacos. This competition is built on surprises and built on these so-called smaller teams producing results. That said, though, you look at the teams that Kairat have actually beaten to get here, you wouldn't say they're particularly Champions League calibre side, to be honest. Certainly, I would back Sporting to beat all 4 teams that they've beaten to get to this position. So as with Tuesday night, I am going to go for a comfortable win for the Portuguese side. But let's just see what happens. I'm going for a 3-0 win to Sporting Lisbon. And that is going to be it for not only this video, but for the Champions League for match day 1. All that is left to do is see what you guys are thinking for these 6 remaining matches. And you have gone for the following. Narrowly edging out Club Brugge, you have gone for Monaco. Although that is the closest prediction we have had for the entirety of match day 1. So I'm kind of happy I've gone for a draw there. Most of you think Leverkusen are beating Copenhagen. Most of you think Frankfurt are going to beat Galatasaray, even though I think it's going to be the other way round. Most of you think City are going to beat Napoli. Most of you think Barcelona are going to beat Newcastle. And unsurprisingly, almost all of you think Lisbon are going to beat Kairat. But that is what you guys are thinking. Let's jump back to my predictions one last time. As always, a massive, massive thank you for all of the support you've given this channel over the course of this opening week of the Champions League season. The numbers have been absolutely incredible. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'll be back once again, same time tomorrow morning with 2 videos to bring you for the weekend. La Liga predictions and Premier League predictions. Don't forget to get your community predictions in for those 2 videos tomorrow morning. A final thank you very much for watching once again, and I'll see you tomorrow.